my lovelies, welcome back to Midnight Reading. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oluchi. If you're not, hi, welcome back. Thanks for returning. So a lot of you don't know, but when I was younger, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Yeah, I used to live back in South Africa a while back when I was younger, and around the time when I would think I was like 7, 8 years old, my teachers told my parents that they thought there was legitimately something wrong with me and that they should take me to a doctor, which my parents obviously did, seeing as I was the first child. They were extremely worried, and the doctors ran some tests and told my mom that I had ADHD. Yeah, they recommended a bunch of medication for my mom to put me on. My mom was like, no, this is my daughter. She's not going to be put on medication. I'm going to get her a teacher and she's going to learn how to focus and control her mind. And that is what brings us to today's video. Disclaimer, I am in no way a licensed therapist, or in no way do I have a medical license to diagnose or treat any mental disorders or mental illnesses, but I just want to share the tips that worked for me that I hope works for you. Also, I'm also in no way talking down on medication that people with ADHD do use. I'm kind of really happy actually that my mom didn't put me on medication, and she's happy too that she didn't put me on medication, as those medications do have side effects like depression, anxiety, and I mean ADHD already comes with things like depression, anxiety, but medication can sometimes heighten it, or it could even reduce it. So I'm not talking down on medication. I'm just happy that I learned how to control my mind naturally. My road to treatment actually started off with my parents hiring a helper for me when I was around 8 years old. So basically, this helper would take me out of class and she'll take me into the special room, and she'll have her own learning equipment and learning resources. And me and her would work together on various things like reading, focusing, staying still, memory. I remember her, she was a lovely lady. I don't remember her name, but I just remember her being so extremely patient with me. She didn't make me feel like there was anything wrong with me. In fact, I felt special. Like, I get to leave class and everyone else is still staying here with this teacher. I love my teacher too, but I was like, everyone is still staying here in this class and I get to leave class early. So I didn't in no way feel isolated or excluded. I felt special. Yeah, before I discovered my love for reading, I had this private teacher, and my love for reading was actually quite accidental. It was kind of accidental, kind of not. So my school actually had this policy that every single Friday we would go to the library and pick up at least 3 books. I think it was 4 books. I believe it was 2 fiction books and 2 nonfiction novels. Actually, no, I'm wrong. It was 2 books, 1 nonfiction novel and 1 fiction novel that we get to take home, and we have to read it and then return it to school. We didn't get quizzed on these books or anything. We didn't have to write reviews on this book. It was just like a requirement that we were supposed to take books home, then return it next week Friday, and then we exchange books. So I remember, like, I would pick up my own books. I remember those children's novel that's quite popular in England. It's called I forgot the actual name, but it's like Chip, Biff, all those, Kipper, the Tracy Beaker series, Jacqueline Wilson novels. I started with like the low level though. So I remember just taking these novels back home because I'm the first child, you know, I'm used to being alone. I remember just going to my parents' room, turning on the AC Friday evening, and just going under their blankets and just reading these novels. And I think that's just where my love for reading started. Once I started reading these novels repeatedly every single Friday, even if it wasn't Friday, my parents, they had a lot of books around the house. I had this huge library. My love for reading just started to grow from there. And before I knew it, I realized that I didn't need my private helper. I realized I was doing much better at school than I was before. And looking back, I'm like, I think I know why. And that is why I just want to share my secrets on how reading helped me so much to manage and control my mind and manage and control my ADHD, that it doesn't affect me as much as it did when I was younger. So without further ado, let's hop into this video. Focus and attention is the first thing that reading helped to exercise my ADHD mind. If you guys are not familiar with the concept of neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to grow, change, and reorganize itself due to intentional neuro exercise and training. Simple concept. The brain is a muscle, and if you target that muscle, especially a particular muscle, and you continue to give it tender love and care, or you continue to exercise that muscle, what it's going to do is grow and get better. And that's exactly what happened to my brain. When I was younger, it was so hard for me to focus on anything, especially one thing at a time. I just don't know, it was like when I was focusing on one thing, something will distract me, my brain will be here, my brain will be split in two things. So yeah, it was very hard for me to focus or just hone in my attention on one thing. But when I started reading and subconsciously training my mind to focus on those words in that page and focus on the task at hand, I started noticing in class when my teacher would speak and I would have a distraction, instead of my mind going there, I'll be able to manage that distraction out. Like, guys, if you read my report cards growing up, I wasn't a naughty student. I was sort of mischievous, but I wasn't like a troublesome student. Literally all my report cards has distraction. Either I'm the distraction or I'm being distracted too often. And reading helps me to take out these distractions and just focus on the task at hand. Obviously, it still gets hard. I still notice it. I still notice it now sometimes. I still noticed it even in my teen years, but it's much better to handle than it was when I was younger. When I was younger, it's almost like it was out of control. But reading just helped me to reshape my mind and focus and draw my attention to one particular thing before moving on to the other. So reading helped focus my attention span, guys. And it even got better as I upped my reading level, because I was 9 and I was reading my reading level was like 12. When I was 12, my reading level was like 18. Like, throughout my academic career, I was always the top in my class in literature, language arts, English, anything that had to do with reading and writing. I was always the top of my class, and I actually owe that all to reading. I don't think I had a particular gift or anything, or I have a particular gift. I think it's just because of my constant love of words, reading, and my ability to intake those words and just consume books on a regular basis just gave me this sort of superpower to the people I school with, that I am sort of have this genius when it comes to reading. But it's only because I just read a lot, and that way it's almost like practicing, because I keep on intaking these books and reading. It just helped to reshape my mind, especially when it came to my focus and attention. People that have ADHD know that feeling when you enter a room, forget why you came, or you put your keys down somewhere and then suddenly you don't know where you kept your keys. It is a feeling or phenomenon that happens to the average individual, even one that doesn't have ADHD, but it just happens more than average to somebody that's actually diagnosed with ADHD. It's actually a fact that ADHD individuals or individuals diagnosed with ADHD actually suffer from short-term memory loss in comparison to long-term memory loss. And this actually ties into my first point of focus and attention. When I first started implementing reading into my everyday schedule, oh my, guys, I noticed an increase in my short-term memory attention throughout the years, especially when it came to test scores, exam scores, or just everyday life. I just seemed to remember things better than I did in the past. It's actually a fact. Reading slows down cognitive decline. The more you read, the less likely you are to develop brain tangles or brain lesions. So keep reading, because reading helps you to exercise your hippocampus, and that's what deals with memory. And with that hippocampus being exercised, you're able to retain information or retain just certain things, basic things, over a longer period of time than people that honestly don't read. Even if you have ADHD, if you keep on exercising your hippocampus, if you keep on exercising your brain, your memory retention is going to improve significantly as you get older. Better than your peers, better than people that aren't diagnosed with ADHD, better than people who are relatively normal. Because if you keep on reading, memory retention, focus and attention, all of those things are just going to keep on increasing as the years go by. When a person with ADHD already struggles with staying still, immersing themselves into a book is way harder for them to do than the average person. I mean, how do you shut out the outside world that you already struggle with shutting out and immerse yourself into a book when you already struggle with focus? How do you shut down from the world and immerse yourself to the world of your mind? Reading helps exercise this, and in turn, you are indirectly controlling your hyperactivity levels, your activity levels, and your attention. By reading, especially somebody that finds it difficult sitting still. This was literally me, guys, in grade school. I would literally be like this while I'm like doing my work. I'll literally, my legs will always be shaking because I just couldn't sit still. I just didn't like the idea of just sitting still and doing something or focusing. I just couldn't do it. I felt like I couldn't do it. And reading, forcing yourself to sit still, actually read those pages on the book and actually focus and hone in your mind, you are indirectly taking and subconsciously taking control of your hyperactivity levels, your activity levels, and your bodily function with the control of your mind. Reading helps strengthen mind control. Not mind control with that like superpower mind control. Reading actually helps strengthen and allow you to control your mind better even. You can get to a point where it's even better for you than the average person. The ability to engage in a fictional world and calm your brain and mind down is actually training your brain to be calm in times and situations when calmness is needed. And this helped me a lot. It's a well-known sad fact that people that are usually diagnosed with ADHD usually struggle with a variety of other mental health disorders like anxiety, depression, and sleep disorders. Studies have actually shown that reading as little as 6 minutes a day can actually sharpen mental acuity, improve sleep quality, and reduce stress. Reading strengthens the neural circuits and neural pathways in our brain while simultaneously lowering heart rate and blood pressure. Now, I am in no way saying that reading and mental health are directly linked, but there is a link there somewhere, and it could be interpreted as an indirect link, but there is a link there somewhere. Again, I'm not saying that reading cures mental health or mental illnesses, because depending on the literary work that you engage in, it could actually worsen your mental health, especially if it's a depressive book or depressing poetry. That can make you feel even worse, honestly. What I am saying is that reading actually does improve levels of mental control, which in turn allows you to avoid the onset of several mental illnesses or just have more control over your mental health in general. Reading actually allowed me to control and see a variety of perspectives. And one thing is that if you see perspectives and you just learn, when you see different perspectives, you gain an understanding of human beings. And that in turn just creates this feeling of gratitude. And gratitude is so impactful when it comes to mental health. Like if you have this good gratitude system, you are less likely to have mental health things like depression, anxiety, because you have this mentality that I have it way better than at least someone else in this side of the world, or I'm just grateful for waking up. I'm grateful for a head over my shoulders. And reading and being exposed to different perspectives through the literary works that you engage in just allows you to feel and build that human connection. And I actually have been somebody throughout my life, I don't believe I struggled with mental health until college. And funnily enough, or interesting enough, college is actually the biggest part of my time of my life where I wasn't reading as often because of obviously education, social life. So I wasn't reading as much in college as I did in my earlier years. Like I remember when I was 17 or 16, I think 2 years before I came to college, I read 100 books in a year. And I could actually do a video on that to like go through the books I read at that age. And maybe I'll do a reread sometime in the past and just compare what I felt on those books to what I feel now. It's what I feel on those books now. But I noticed a decrease in my mental health, a rapid decline and rapid decrease in my mental health when I stopped reading in college. And I just find that extremely interesting because I had this huge empathy for humans while reading and just looking at different perspectives, the way people think about things, the way people go about or come to different problems. And when you don't have an understanding on human beings or yourself, you lack empathy. And in turn, that also messes with your gratitude system, which can also lead to things like depression, anxiety, and just overall unhappiness. So it's true when they say, actually I made this up, but I feel like it's somewhere there on the internet, reading a little a day keeps the doctors away. Communication is extremely important the more we age. To communicate effectively is an extremely vital life skill that gives you your own independent voice. Individuals diagnosed with ADHD usually tend to struggle with reading comprehension, which is a complex process that involves the 4 regions of the brain. When these regions work together quickly and seamlessly, then individuals are much better at linking sounds to speech to visual word forms, which are otherwise known as reading. Reading actually strengthens this link between verbal and visual forms of language by exercising those regions by visually consuming these words. I would say I'm quite good at communicating my empathy and how I feel, and I am not ashamed to say that I owe it all to reading. Communication was not a huge issue to me when I was younger, but I could see how it could have been a huge issue for me if I didn't have enough confidence. I think a lot of the things that helped me to overcome my ADHD at a young age, or to at least go through the ADHD that I believe I had, I don't claim it now, but the ADHD I believe I had, is mostly due to my confidence and the ability to believe that just because this is something I have now doesn't mean that it has to greatly affect my life. But yeah, reading helps with communication, and in turn that helped me to communicate and express myself better. And reading helped me to communicate and express myself way better, and it's still helping me even up till today. Well, there you have it, guys. These are the reasons I believe that reading helped me greatly and vastly improve my ADHD, and for me to have a greater ability to control my mind and just feel more in control without my ADHD feeling like such a huge burden on my mind and just my daily functioning. Again, I in no way have a medical license that enables me to treat disorders or to diagnose disorders, but reading is something that I noticed that it was sort of my own personal therapy, and I believe that I wanted to share these with other people because I had ADHD bad when I was younger. I will not even lie. I got into all sorts of trouble because I couldn't focus, because I couldn't put my attention somewhere, because I always had to do something at the exact same time. I got into trouble because I couldn't sit down. So ADHD just really sort of ostracized me from society, and if it wasn't for my confidence, I would have probably been a really lonely kid. But reading helped me greatly, and I hope that it could do the same for you, and I honestly do think it could, especially if you start younger, and even if you start old, if you make it a daily habit of reading. Read anything. Read a novel a month, read 1 novel a month, start from there. Take 4 weeks to read 1 novel. As long as you're reading something, as study said, as little as 6 minutes a day, does so much for memory retention and does so much when it comes to the increase in cognitive functioning. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, my name is Oluchi, and this is Midnight Reading. If you like what you see, if you like what you saw, if you like what you heard, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, leave a like, leave a comment, just go ahead. I love reading all the comments, so just go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.